Right. But
We had.
Cody. Yeah. He's been doing pretty good, but I'm not real sure about now. I think Grandma said.
Call the meeting to order. Start with roll call. Christina Sharp.
Here.
David Wildbrenner.
Here.
Brian Jones.
Here.
Becky Engel.
Here.
Next item, adoption of agenda and declaration of quorum.
Morgan, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the amended agenda, striking item G2C. And that would be under maintenance, I think.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion on the amended agenda adoption? If not, those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Next item, citizens speak. I don't have any green comment cards. Is there anybody in attendance tonight that would, I do have a green comment card. Thank you. Let's see, I'll need to read something here. So we now open our citizen speak portion of the agenda. We would invite anyone in the audience who's completed the green comment card or others who would like to address the board to step up to the podium, state your name and address so that our board secretary can capture it for our minutes. We ask that you limit your comment to 3 minutes to allow sufficient time for all those interested in addressing the board and to ensure all other agenda items receive attention in an efficient manner. Please know that while the board is always pleased to hear from citizens who would like to address them, we are not able to engage in conversation. If you'd like to further engage on any specific topic, you may always contact board members before or after meetings, or you can find our contact information on the district website. So with that being said, we'll start with Andrea Songer Dudley.
Hello, I'm Andrea Songer Dudley, and I drive school bus here in town for Durham School Services and Ottumwa Schools, and I love my job, and I wanted to tell you it's been really good to have people directing traffic over on the south side of town. It's immeasurably helpful. We need a few more of that, a few more of those types of things going on, maybe up towards Shaw, if possible. There's some backup traffic there, but I know that is what's making me get to school in time. And so that's appreciated. There is a concern with our drive cams, however. They know where stop signs are located. And so when we drive past them and don't stop, it will give us a safety violation. And so if the board and Durham could communicate in some way so that that won't cause us a safety violation, we can only get so many of those before we're in big trouble. You know, obviously, you don't want people running through stop signs on normal streets. So we don't want you to stop doing that. We just don't want to get in trouble. Also, there are a couple of concerns. Several drivers are concerned with parents and their locations of their car seats and how they unload their students. Since we're sharing our traffic space with the general public in some areas, it might be very convenient to have your car seat on the driver's side. We understand that. However, they're opening their car doors up into traffic, and we're really concerned that we're going to be exposed to a lot of risk and endangering children's lives and parents' lives. We don't want that to happen. Like, we don't think that it's good for children to walk between our buses either, so we need to be parked nose to end that way and not have folks scattering and filing between the buses, because sometimes if they're close enough to the bus, you cannot see. So I guess that is my couple of concerns. And also, we've been ready and loaded with our students at Liberty at 3:10 for the past couple days, and it seems to be that they're going to be able to do that on a regular basis. And so we were wondering if it would be possible to change our departure time from 3:21 to 3:10. That would save me about a half hour on my route, just that 10 minutes. So I know I'm not the only one. That's what I have for you, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Andrea. Is there anybody else that would like to address the board tonight? If not, we will move on to the consent agenda.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Next item, board priority. We will promote and monitor growth in student achievement, and all students will be challenged with high expectations that will meet or exceed measurable targets. We have an informational update on Pickwick.
Thanks, Morgan. We're going to have a group of
educators come join us, if you want to join us in the front here. And as they're coming up, we wanted to kind of share out how things are going at Pickwick, and also this past year how things went at Pickwick. And we kind of talked about this is kind of a nice, because Pickwick's had a lot of changes and so forth, for the board to get an annual kind of update on how it's going at Pickwick. And they have a lot of information for the board tonight. They put a lot of effort into this presentation. We appreciate that. And the one thing that I can tell the board confidently is that it is such a great atmosphere right now at Pickwick, how everyone supports each other. The fact that it really is a true team concept. And I give a lot of credit to the staff and a lot of credit to our leadership at Pickwick, so we appreciate that. So I'll turn it over to Kim.
Good evening. I'm Kim Ledger, building principal at Pickwick, and we were tasked with presenting some of our student data from 22-23 school year. And so we have a great presentation for you tonight, and you'll be thrilled, I'm sure. Not functioning. Technology. I brought with me tonight our assistant principal, Stephanie Welch, 3-year-old teacher, Chelsea Rosendahl, 4-year-old teacher last year, current this year instructional coach, Maria Odell, and kindergarten teacher, Melanie Dalby. Mrs. Dalby, sorry. I went brain dead, sorry. So we have a slideshow presentation for you, and one of the things that we're going to talk to you about tonight are the goals that we have for our building. And you'll see on the presentation, the SMART goal was by spring of 2024, so it's still in effect, 92% of our students will leave our building proficient in the area of letter-sound correspondence. And that ties into the district goal. So throughout tonight's presentation, you'll learn a little bit about how our building goal ties to the district's vision, and then how teachers' individual professional development goals also tie to our building and district goals.
Okay, so I am Mrs. R. I survived day 3, or my first full day of preschool. We rocked it. So we're looking at now the 3-year-old letter sound correspondence, which is very interesting. Yes, the academics is a big part, but in preschool world, a lot of it's the social emotional also. So we get the best of both worlds. So here, the baseline is most of our students are coming in knowing 1 or less letter sounds, but by spring, they know 3 or more letter sounds. And then you can see how the growth from 2020 to 2023. And then here we're looking at our gold essential objectives, which is, go for it.
They're tied to the Iowa Early Learning Standards, which is what we report out on.
So these are the ones that our building as a 3-year-old team has deemed essential for our building. So we have more than one piece of documentation. So this is just a little glimpse of all the data that we collect. But like the last slide with the letter sound, this one you can look at, it's 16B at the fall, and you're looking at the colors, you know, where a lot of them are in the yellow to then in the spring, we have majority of our 3-year-olds are in the purple, which they're exceeding. And this, when you look at it, green is what you would like to see for 3-year-olds. That's make they're proficient.
All right, then moving on to our 4-year-olds, we like to build a lot on what our 3-year-old team does and then spiral up through 4-year-old preschool and then into kindergarten. So looking at our baseline, we are looking at students coming in with those 3 letter sounds. And by spring, we want them to have 10 or more. And we base that number on the Iowa Early Learning Standards and also our Teaching Strategies Gold assessment tool that we use. And that's what they have deemed through research as being academically appropriate for those students coming in at that level. And then again, these are the essential objectives that Chelsea was talking about. And just looking at the color bands on there, the purple is exceeding. So Some of those are in social emotional growth, their academic growth, a lot of self-help skills, which helps students get ready to quote unquote do school for the rest of their education career. And then this is also an assessment that we've given. We look at IGDs. It's a screener similar to FAST, and it looks at picture naming, rhyming, sound ID, which one doesn't belong, so looking at pictures and which one doesn't belong, and then alliteration skills.
And then moving right up with our kindergarten letter sound data, starting with our baseline, we're looking at the 10 and more where 4-year-olds have left off. And at the baseline of last fall, we were at 45%. In the fall, we were meeting 80%, or 80% of our students were meeting that goal of 10, but by the end of the year, having the goal of 31 letters, sounds, consonants, long and short vowels, we had 97% of our kindergarten students knowing that, and that is the kindergarten standard, which is why we've chosen that. Just looking at the trend too at the bottom graph, the growth that's been made, not only just within that year, but the year leading up to that as well, all built on a great foundation from our 3- and 4-year-old letter sound work. Our next slide looks at FastBridge, which is a screener. We give the early reading for kindergarten students, and what we want to see here are the red scores or the red bars going down. Those are the students who are scoring in the high-risk category. So from fall to spring, there was considerable drop in that, which is what we're wanting. And then we're wanting to see the growth from fall to spring with our green, which means proficient students, growth there, but then also the blue, which is exceeding. So really doing a nice job all around with those kiddos in that screener that's given 3 times a year. Our last slide gives us some data from the diagnostic from iReady. Last year was the first year of implementation, so at the top bar you have fall, with the majority of our students falling out in yellow, which is 1 grade level below. As we move on to winter, that shrinks quite a bit, but then by spring it's reduced considerably, and what's taking its place then would be the green band, but then also the striped. Green is for early or on grade level, and then the stripe is for mid or above grade level. So lots of improvement there as well.
I get this fun slide. So we want to just shout out to you guys, and we put a picture up here, well, a few pictures of some great kids and some academic and some non-academic achievements here. And this is what it's all about, and some of the great things we do at Pickwick, and just a few just fun visual things to look at rather than some data, which is important. We love the data, but we also know this is why we do what we do right here. And you can just take a peek at that and just see some of those great kiddos. They've moved on. Some of them have moved up, but lots of mini celebrations there. This goes back to our school improvement goals. And so, you know, as a district, we are focusing on that Marzano element, number 32, where we want to get to motivate and inspire those students. Our SMART goal was by spring of 24, we want to get 100% of our teaching staff to reach a level 4, which is innovating on the self-reflective scale, and element number 3, which you guys will I'm sure you've heard a lot about that lately, so you don't need to know that. And then this is just kind of the measurement that goes along with that, and then something where we were celebrating success. So the staff assessed themselves in the fall, the winter, and the spring. And I know the graphs kind of looks confusing, but if you just look over at the numbers there too, you can see in the fall, the staff was scoring themselves overall at a 2.36. In the winter, they bumped it up to a 2.74. And in the spring, they got up to a 3.13. So they were moving on up. And then these are just the different areas that we're focusing on within the Marzano framework and the feedback area, the content area, and the context area. So
Chose for IPTVs. Yep.
And this is what they chose for the IPDP. These are the focus elements that we're on. And again, you can see the increase from the fall to the winter to the spring, just going up and getting great on that reflection. And they're measuring all those individual elements up there that they're looking at for Marzano. That's what those yellow highlights were on the previous slide.
Is that it? Oh, I'm going to back up just a second. IPDP is the individual teacher's professional development plan. So each teacher develops their own growth plan based on the building goal of letter sound correspondence or the district goal of celebrating successes and focusing on Marzano. So that was, this slide shows what the teachers chose as their focus area for their own individual professional development plan. I'm going to move on a little bit to Shared Visions. Shared Visions, as you all know, is a grant that we receive in order to help fund the 3-year-old program. And with that comes goals as well and reports that we have to submit. And I didn't know if the board really had ever taken a look at what the shared vision goals had been or if it'd been a while, so I thought I'd throw those in here. One goal area is for parents and guardians of 3-year-olds to participate in learning opportunities and family events provided by Pickwick Early Childhood Center. And there's some objectives there that you can look at as well, but our family service specialists really help us with this area. Last year, we did some parent cafes along in correlation with resilient communities, and the district is making that a focus again this year across the district. Pickwick will be hosting 2 of those themselves, and we had 3 of our staff members trained to be facilitators in that. Some of our evening activities and things like that go under this goal as well. The second goal there under the red bar is removing barriers to enrollment, ensuring that all families with 3-year-old children are able to attend Pickwick. And that has to do with transportation, before and after school care, some of those kinds of things. We really try to troubleshoot how do we get kids in attendance on a consistent basis. Attendance is something we monitor very closely because we know their presence is needed in order for that growth to happen. A third goal is to increase the number of 3-year-old students in our program with up-to-date physicals, immunizations, vision, hearing, and dental records, as well as increasing the number of students whose nutritional needs are met daily. So we have lots of oversight on collecting documents and making sure that they're current, making sure that we provide vision screening and hearing screening to all of our students, help them connect with doctor's appointments and immunization clinics. The back to school event, we had lots of providers in the community here to help with that, and that's one of the things that we focus on as well, is trying to provide those opportunities. Last year, our family service specialists planned a spaghetti dinner in which some community partners were present so families could connect with them. The last goal is increasing and ensuring implementation of developmentally appropriate programming. So you heard the ladies talk about GOLD, creative curriculum. Launchpad is another curriculum tool that we use for literacy, some of those things. And aligned to, and it does say HSPPS, which is Head Start. We no longer use Head Start, we have NACE. This is a screenshot from the original grant, and that's why it says that. And the Iowa Early Learning Standards, utilizing that multi-tiered system of support in order to meet the needs of all of our 3-year-olds. So having interventions available, good quality coaching for our teachers and professional development to make sure that we're actually identifying needs, reacting to those needs in a research-based way, and monitoring the growth, and then intervening in various ways, however it's deemed necessary. If that means resources or special services, we're able to provide those. And the last 2 slides are really about our NACE accreditation. This is a map of Iowa showing the 78 NACE accredited centers in Iowa. Pickwick is one of 78. But what's more interesting is there's over 1,500 licensed centers in Iowa. So we are one of the elite with that NACE accreditation, and that is a huge impact to this district. When parents are looking for quality instruction, they can stop at Pickwick because they know we are one of the best. And then this is just our accreditation license, just saying that when we went through that last year, and y'all heard a little bit about that if you were on the board, we scored a 93% during that accreditation process. So not only are we elite in one of 78 in the state of Iowa, we scored a 93, which is really outstanding. And so that goes back to the procedures, the routines that are in place, following the goals, setting goals, monitoring them, and having high-quality staff. And that is supported by the work that the board does. So that concludes our presentation. If you have any questions, we'll be glad to answer them at this time.
Kim, sorry, Becky. How much of a struggle do we see at that age with referring to our other ethnic groups in town? Are we seeing a lot of the 3- and 4-year-old kids with of the other ethnic cultures coming into our 3- and 4-year-old? And are we having a ton of struggle with the language? And if so, is there something else that we could do?
Sure. We have a very diverse enrollment at Pickwick. I think it's probably a real mirror reflection of our community, right? And so language can be a barrier that we have to overcome, and that's one of our goals, is to overcome those barriers. We use Language Line a lot. We do have some staff present that are bilingual, so that's very helpful as well. We do have access to all the translators in the district that we can call upon when we know we're going to have like an IEP meeting or parent-teacher conferences. So that's been very beneficial as well. Sometimes families will even bring in their own interpreter to help us out, and so that's very helpful. I think it's a challenge. I don't think it's a barrier. It's no different to me than a transportation issue or a school supplies issue. Whatever that is, I think our crew does a really good job of identifying that and trying to overcome it. And teachers can speak to that as well, because the Parent Square app is a big improvement in communication when it comes, teacher to parent, message to message. So I think that's a big improvement too.
And I just, sorry, we teach preschool. Piggybacking off a Parent Square, because we just had this happen the other day, I think also it makes the families more comfortable, because like I can type it in English, but it translates to their language, and they don't hesitate, and then they can send something back, and that, I think more of that communication piece between teacher and parent, family.
And I think all those tools and the things that Kim mentioned are excellent for when teachers are meeting with parents. But it is incredible to see how fast our young students pick up those English language skills.
Yes.
I mean, it's a huge credit to the teachers that are working with those students, because they are immersing those kids in an English language and also using other tools. I know some teachers count daily in different languages, so that way those students who are coming in with different languages feel welcomed and included, and their home language is validated. So it makes them even more willing to participate in the rest of school.
And Parent Square is what we swapped out for Parent Square is what we swapped out for Power School, is that correct?
No. No.
Great. Oh, I'm sorry, yes, okay. And because I know that was a struggle getting families to be able to use that for a while too, so, okay, thank you.
I think also the positive on that is the uniformity of all of our staff are using Parent Square now too, so yeah.
I can attest that Parent Square is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been in 3 days, and now everything's in one spot on my phone, and I don't get the same update from 2 different people and 3 different emails and 5 different pop-up messages. And it's organized now, and I see it once, and I can dismiss what I want, and you can give attention to things that you really want to see. So, yeah, Parent Square is awesome. It's been a big
And it's very
upgrade.
helpful for the parents, because if they are connected to Power School, then they're automatically connected to the Parent Square, which is, I think, taking away a little bit of that struggle sometimes to get them on Class Dojo or Remind or any of the other apps we were using. So that's been extremely helpful as well.
You can direct message the teachers too if there's anything comes up. So it's a really nice app.
And I didn't have a question. I just wanted to give you an attaboy, maybe. My 3 grandchildren have gone through Pickwick. I think, Marie, yeah, you had Rainin. And did you have? No, but you probably know Rossi. But I just think you've done a good job, and as Maria knows, Rainen has food issues, and last year, and he's in third grade now, but anyway, last year, his 3-year-old brother, they would change his clothes before he went home in case he had spilled anything on him or anything. I just think that says a lot about the caring that I've seen at Pickwick. And the teachers that I've asked if I can come in and read to their classes have always been open and welcoming. Bus drivers, thank you for providing your transportation for those little kids. Otherwise, I guess it'd be me getting Ryan there every day. But I just, and I see growth in their academic and especially social and emotional. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you. That's a big focus also, is the social emotional. And, here at the beginning of the school year, we talk about letter sounds and all that, but it's really about bringing them in and making them feel safe and welcomed, and their families feeling welcomed, and building connections with peers and teachers, right? So we know that if we can build that great foundation, that's why Marzano's element number 1 is so important, level number 1, before we get to the academics. And so it's really about the heart.
Yeah, like I said, thank you for everything you do.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
One thing I want to mention too is that you pointed out a lot of things that make Pickwick special, and there are so many things, but I think 2 things that I want to point out to our community that really make our preschool unique and special is the fact that we offer free 3-year-old preschool. Not many school districts do that. And I can tell you the profound impact that's going to have on our community and our students' performance down the road. It's going to be immeasurable. The other aspect that we have that I think you have shown tonight is the correlation between kindergarten readiness, that the fact that we have half our kindergartners there. It's such a benefit to a lot of our kids that they're there for 3 years. And our kids are going to be so much more kindergarten ready. And what we realize as educators is that you can tell by 3rd grade whether a student's going to be a graduate or a dropout. And so it's so critical those early years of their performance, their academic performance, their attendance, those type of things. And what you're doing right now at Pickwick is just phenomenal as far as the impact you're having. And we just appreciate it so much. And we recognize what you're doing, and it's phenomenal. So thank you.
I have one small comment to add to. I love that you guys are doing parent cafes. I'm a huge proponent for parent cafes. I think they're amazing. And to Becky and Brian's point, I think parent cafes really bring in the whole family. And that's key in preschool too. Like at high school you can drop off and go, but at preschool you have to include the kid and the whole family. And I think parent cafes are an awesome way to do that. And then to Andrea's point, the traffic people at Pickwick are amazing. Like that traffic is, the crossing guard out there is great. So I think you guys have helped with that problem too. Yes, Kelly. Yeah. Yeah, I go down Williams every morning and it's a lot faster. Good job.
Next item, board priority. We will create a positive learning and working culture for our stakeholders and embrace our community partners through communication and transparency. We have a GoPip donation informational topic.
So I think Mark Rowe is going to join us, and Brad, if you want to come up too, and Brad can kind of introduce this. We're just really excited to have this grant of money from GoPip, and they're going to talk a little bit about what this grant is going to go towards. And again, GoPip, we just appreciate all the support because this is really going to make a difference for a lot of our kids. So thank you. And I'll turn it over to Brad.
Yeah, thank you. Many of you know this is Mark Rowe with GoPip. And Mark and GoPip have been gracious enough to donate some money to help support. We presented in the spring some of our youth systems building work where we're really going to be studying our pathways and our different programming that we have for students so that there's no wrong door approach that they could go into if they have an interest in any career field. And Mark and GoPip have been, again, gracious enough to support us. And I'll turn it over to Mark to say a few words and then we'll present the check.
I'll just say a couple of quick words. As everybody knows, one of the core components of what GoPip does is economic development. And without a good workforce, economic development is really hard to achieve. So we're really excited to be able to work with the school district and provide some funding for the apprenticeship program moving forward and some of the equipment that some of those students might not be able to get otherwise. So we're just happy to be able to help out in some small way.
You ready for the presentation?
Morgan, do you want to?
Sure, sure, I love taking chances.
And just for clarification for our community, it's a check for $10,000, and it's going to help us tremendously with our programming and getting more internships and supporting those internships. So thanks again, GoPip, and also thank Mark for participating in our staff kickoff this year too. Mark was gracious enough to play music for us during lunchtime, and we really appreciate that too, Mark.
Next item, we have second reading of Board Policy 104.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Next item, Board Priority Financial Stewardship. We have an informational OHS Athletic Complex update.
So we're having some individuals join us for this. This is a really exciting project for us at the high school. And again, it's kind of that continuation of our remodel of the high school and adding on to our high school. So just a reminder to our community is that our timeline for this competition gyms we hope to put it out for bid this fall and then start the construction in the spring. And we have some designs to share with the board tonight, and then we'll open it up for questions. So I'll turn it over to Dave.
All right, thank you, sir. Just to update you, at our next board meeting, September 11th, we will have our final specs for you to approve, and we will be putting this project out for bid on September 12th with that. So with that said, we're going to go through a fly-through of the facility real quick with you, and we can go ahead and start this. And we'll pause throughout this fly-through of the facility just to show you some neat and interesting things that we'll have in our facility. As we come through the front doors, we're going to pause right after the second set of doors here as we look to our right. And one thing that we're placing there is, pause right there, is a ticket counter. And I know Brandon will discuss this later when we had a ticket booth, but as we continue to fly through the facility, I'll turn it over to Brandon.
Yeah, so that'll be the main entrance. So we'll take all of our spectators through that main door, and they'll give their tickets there. Both of these,
as we
go
pause
ahead and
right
pause
here.
it, Jeremy. Those two areas that we just passed are a couple areas that we've identified that the band could utilize for their in-game performances or other performances, potentially some live stream locations as well.
As we move forward, and we'll pause here on this back wall again, right there.
So back in the corner on the right side where that looks like some shelving is, that's where the ticket booth used to be. That I think you guys have seen a version of this in the past where there was actually a room that was designated, and just with the stairs coming down and some other things, we just determined that having a counter would be better. And that also opened up some additional space for our Hall of Fame to be able to put that on display in a better way. Going down the hallway a little bit, there is an apparel shop, which will be similar to the Spirit Co. Be able to provide apparel and gear for fans that come to our games as well as a concession stand. As we go down past the first, what we call the main gym, Jeremy, can you back up just a couple seconds there? So those doors straight ahead, we ended up encasing that. We had some conversation along the way on what the divider between the gyms should be. You can see that it is like a bifold divider, but that'll have some soundproof to it. And being able to encase this hallway will allow us to soundproof that a little bit better. Now, during events, the doors will likely be open all the time, but that'll just allow us to shut the gyms off if we need to. We also have a video board there, so we'll have video boards throughout the gym as well.
As we get into the gym, this is kind of the main gym area. As you can see by the floor markings, there'll be 2 main courts here. The first will be our varsity competition court for basketball and volleyball. If you've been to Evans recently, there's a lot of just extra lines. You can go ahead and pause it there, Jeremy. There's a lot of extra lines that are on the court that can be hard to understand markings at times, and so it's kind of been decided to just leave this as our varsity competition court. So we'll have 1 main basketball court, 1 main volleyball court. There's a large section of bleachers. Jeremy, if you can just go back just where it kind of goes to this baseline bleachers. I guess it'd be the west bleachers and the foyer area that you see there, kind of below the band, will all be storage that is built into the gym. And then the main seating capacity in this gym is 1,093, which is a larger seating capacity than we have at Evans. There'll be obviously the volleyball hoops and then the volleyball net and then 6 basketball hoops in this gym as well. The secondary gym will be again blocked off by the bifold doors. In that gym, there will be 1 basketball court and 2 volleyball courts in there, as well as 6 hoops, with a seating capacity of 386. So our total seating capacity in the entire facility is just shy of 1,500. It's about 1,479, which again is larger than what we can seat at Evans. As you look straight ahead here, there's a set of doors that'll lead to the back hallway. In that back hallway is where we will have the locker rooms for both home and away, as well as an officials locker room and restrooms for the public to use as well. And so that'll be just through these doors, so they're easily accessible to both teams. We can bring the home team through one side and the visitor team through one side, just to kind of separate everything. So that's all located down the back hallway. At the end of the hallway, there is a training room as well as a hallway that connects back to that storage area under the west bleachers and foyer area as well.
So one of the things I just want to mention is, while this is an awesome competition gym, it's also going to have a significant impact on our daily physical education courses. Just to have a facility like this for, our basketball classes that occur multiple periods throughout a school day is going to be significant. Also, by opening up that entire gym space, we have room to be able to do significant programs for our entire student body. Currently, if we have a guest speaker in, like a motivational speaker or anything, we have to run 2 45-minute assemblies because we can't get all of our student body in the auditorium. And so this will remedy that, and we'll have some great opportunities there as well. So we're looking forward to using it in our daily programming at OHS as well.
So as we come up these back stairs, we're coming up to the main level. As you can see, as you'll be facing the Hall of Fame and also the elevator doors. And then we'll make our second way to the bridge that will connect the facility to the main high school. As you can see, we'll have plenty of windows, plenty of natural light coming into the facility. Great view from the outside for our community. So as we come up here to the main floor, these doors that will go out across the to the high school, they're able to remain locked on either side, so we can lock the high school side and the gym side. And then as we come across the walkway out there, this is all HVAC, heating controlled, plenty of natural light coming into the facility. So working with our architects, like I mentioned before, we'll be putting this out for bid on September 12th after you review the final specs on September 11th.
Yeah, I just want to add a couple of things, Dave, to it. One thing we talked about when we looked at these designs, I think there was some board desire to the wall separating the 2 gyms. The concern was the sound quality, too much, the noise and so forth. Do you want to just talk about the wall that we're going to put in? I think will help a lot with that.
Absolutely. This is a bifolding wall. We originally were talking a curtain coming down, and talking with Mr. Brooks and what other schools have experienced. That wall, bifold wall, has been best to keep those two gyms separate. So one gymnasium is not drowning out another gymnasium, and I'll let Mr. Brooks explain more.
Yep. Yeah, you pretty much nailed it all.
All right.
That was the way to go.
With us adding those additional doors at the top on that hallway, we felt that we could really have two competitions going on at the same time without drowning out the other.
And just a reminder for our community too, we're projecting to be a $10.5 million project when we put it out for bid. That's what we've allocated for it. So a lot of hard work's gone into this to make sure that we have the things that are needed in this facility. But I also want to remind our community too that we're really committed to our wrestling. And so as this project's going on, we will start the project of remodeling for wrestling up at the high school. And the two things that this will really perpetuate will be our ability to have varsity sports at our high school, which will be great. But then secondly, where it starts to become that campus feel, and you really feel like a high school campus. And so I think this will take us a long ways in that. And I really appreciate all the work that this group's done, because I think it's just an outstanding design. So, questions from the board?
What's the total square footage of that?
Oh, I don't have that off the top of my head. It was
So I guess in relationship to the parking lot, does it take up half, 3/4 of the?
Thirds of the.
2/3? Okay.
How much more seating does it have than Evans?
What was your total seating there?
Wasn't it like 8 something?
I have 1,470, that is my total seat.
Yeah,
But I think Evans was in the main gym.
it's I think just shy of 1,000.
I think Landon's going to look up both those questions if he can find it.
Fact check.
I don't want to put you on the spot, Landon.
It's not that I don't believe you. It's hard. It's hard for me looking at those pictures to wrap my mind around how it's more seating when it's only on one side and an end versus two full sides. Maybe they're a lot taller and it just doesn't look like it from the picture, but.
Well, that
We don't have any baseline seating right now at all,
Right,
Evans.
right.
I'll just squat here. So, hi, Shelley. Evans had a Gym 1, 1,080 seats. And Gym 2, that rubber gym, had 120 seats, so 1,200 seats. And then if our number's still lining, this hasn't changed, then Gym 1 here has 1,093 approximately and 386. So 1,479 for this new complex, 1,200 for
Okay.
Evans.
Main gyms are roughly the same size though.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what throws people off, I think, is people remember the main gym at Evans having a lot more seating. It did have a lot more seating capacity, but we've taken out the.
Oh, when we put the new bleachers in?
Well, even before that, they took out bleachers in the second.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and with that too, like we also have seating up above, in the balcony area.
Standing
Obviously
area,
not traditional, bleacher seating, but there's, additional seating up there too.
Yeah. I just don't want to run into a Pickwick scenario where we build it and then, it's
Yeah.
not big enough.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thanks, guys. So we've got a few action items here. First being Ayler's Bond Council engagement letter.
I'll turn it over to John.
Thank you. This is the first step. We'll be coming back to the board at the September board meeting with the first resolution as part of the bond process for our next round of sales tax revenue bonds. We're engaging Ehlers as our bond counsel, and they help us make sure all the resolutions are complete. We cross our Ts and dot our Is as we go through the bond process. So this is engaging them to do that.
If there's no questions, I'd be looking for a motion.
I'd make a motion to approve Ehlers Bond Council engagement letter as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Next item, maintenance vehicle purchase.
Working with our maintenance department, we've determined that the need for an additional truck, or new truck. We've got some of our older trucks that we're going to retire that have seen the better days, So this will allow us to keep our fleet up and moving. These trucks will also be outfitted with a snow plow on them, so we can use them by two folds like that.
And this is a continuation of the kind of the cycle for our vehicles. We had quite a few of them get very, 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 very dated. You've probably seen some of them driving around town that are on multiple transmissions and or are in the shop most of the time. So this is replacing, I believe there's 2 left that are in pretty poor condition. This is to replace one of them right now, and we'll probably maybe have one more next year. And that'll kind of cycle through to get us up to date so our vehicles are more reliable and in better shape.
Looking for a motion there?
I will make a motion to approve the maintenance vehicle purchase.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Skipping item C down to D, grounds equipment purchase.
And we wanted to point out, this one is, the one item that we wanted to
Did we
remove
strike?
was actually D
Okay.
instead of C.
Did the wrong one.
Yeah,
So
so
we're gonna,
C is for a dump trailer, and the district is recommending moving forward with that, and I'll let Dave talk a little
Okay.
bit about that.
The decision on a dump trailer, though, a couple of folds, we'll use it definitely during the summer, and it's a little safer for us to offload debris instead of by hand, our maintenance folks are doing. And then also during the ability to haul gravel, we've spent quite a bit on outsourcing our gravel hauling. And then also during the winter, when we do, we've had a contract out moving our snow piles when they get too full. So this will give us ability to move some of the snow piles around the building down to Schaefer.
And this is another one where we're replacing an existing vehicle. We have a dump truck. You've probably never seen it because it's not working a lot. It's in poor shape. And so instead of going up to another dump truck, the dump trailer is hopeful to replace that, just easier to manage, and then we can pull it with our existing vehicles.
okay. Looking for a motion.
I move we accept the, what is it?
C.
Dump trailer purchase.
A dump,
Yep.
dump thinking.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. And finally, E, building alarm systems.
Yeah, Landon's going to join us for this. As he comes up, we are going to look at a proposal that we would finish off our buildings that do not currently have security systems. And I want to clarify for probably the board and the community is that we were working on this prior to the break-in that we had at Evans. And I think we have a really good plan, and it's a very economical plan to upgrade those buildings. But I also want to emphasize that overall, we feel our buildings are very safe and secure. And this is just another element of what we're doing to ensure that safety. But we have very few problems with break-ins, and we have very few. But this will actually take us to another level. So I'll turn it over to Landon.
Perfect. Thanks, Mike. As mentioned, this was something that was a finding in our vulnerability assessment that was completed by Department of Homeland Security. So that was back in like December. It just had not made it to the board for official approval. These were buildings identified that did not have an active alarm system in place. So we went through, checked every alarm system in every building, and these buildings listed did not have a system. So as Mike mentioned, instead of going the route, these systems can be really expensive. When you take into consideration all of these sensors and all the wiring that runs to them, the most cost-effective way is to do wireless sensors, motion sensors, instead of a bunch of wiring to all of the doors. And so that's the route we're going. And just to try to keep it more economical, we're actually installing the sensors ourselves into the ceiling tiles. So we'll be able to replace them. They give us an alert if the battery that they're running on is low. And so essentially tonight, we're looking for approval for Liberty, Career Campus, Evans, Eisenhower, James, and Dalma in the amount of $16,360.11 and an annual cost of $450 for the cellular service that monitors. And so when this is completed, all of our buildings will have active alarm systems. They'll actually have internal loud buzzers that will go off inside the building as well. So sorry in advance to custodian staff that set that off, but we'll have them scheduled actually, so when custodians are not in the building, they'll be automatically turned on, so.
Landon, if you want to just talk a little bit too about how the remote control of these and so forth and how that works.
Yeah, so ahead of the alarm going off, these are a little bit different where you don't have to respond to the building and put in a code on a keypad. That's all done over an iPhone app or Google app where it sends a message to security staff and the building principal. They have a chance ahead of police actually going to the building to say, oh, no, this is, I got a text, the custodian set it off, and, they can disarm it remotely without needing to go to the building. So that'll save us some calls to the PD, so.
Landon, do the rest of the schools have this system, or is it something different?
Yeah, great question. So that's something we've been trying to do is that all of our buildings now will have monitoring through Midwest Alarm, and that's the company we're recommending for here. So we'll all be under one umbrella.
Okay, good. Make a motion, if there's nothing else, to pass item E, building alarm systems.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Next item, superintendent report.
Thanks, Morgan. The first thing I have is just recognizing and thanking our Centennial Committee. As the board knows, they have put in a lot of work. It's amazing how many events that we're having to celebrate the 100 years of our high school. And I also want to, besides thank you that group, but I also want to encourage people. Tomorrow night will be, really, it's the 100th year birthday tomorrow officially. And we will have cake and sing happy birthday at our volleyball game over at Evans tomorrow night. So I encourage people to come out for that. I think it will be a lot of fun. Second, what I have is just kind of my feelings as far as how we've started the school year this year. I think we're off to a really good start. I think a lot of positive things are going on. We haven't had a lot of issues that we've had to overcome at the beginning of the year. You always have typical ones that you always are going to have. But I think, in my perspective at least, we've had a great start to the school year. So I really appreciate everyone that's made that happen. It's always our staff that makes that happen. And so we appreciate everything people are doing to ensure that we have a great start to the school year. So with that, that's all I have, Morgan.
Thanks, Mike. Yep. Next item is board member topics.
Morgan, I just got a couple of things. So I just want to echo what Mike said about the Centennial Committee. I didn't attend every event, but the events that I attended, the parade and the ribbon cutting, and the Battle of the Bands, which Pam did a great job of judging. To that committee and to everybody involved in that thing was a huge success, brought out tons of people, people that's seen the pictures up at the high school and for the ribbon cutting and stuff like that. There's a lot of work that went into that, so thank you to that committee and the Kiwanis who put on a good pancake breakfast and all of our staff that was involved, from our janitors all the way down, maintenance people. Thank you to that. The only other thing I got is, so I know that Mike Stevenson is not here tonight, but he had been at a place where one of the, he's actually a pastor at church, William Gordon, was speaking to Legacy and several other groups, and Mike sought him out after the meeting and asked him to come and speak to some of our teacher groups. And some feedback from some of those teachers was that they, he informed them on different things of how things go with the Marshallese kids and the Marshallese Islands. And so the teachers were very happy with that, very informative. So I'm glad that, kudos to Mike for seeking him out and having him come. And he works all night at Deere, so he'd worked all night and come and put two sessions on for our teachers for that. So I think that's very important for our teachers to learn more and more about the groups of those kids, so they can help them teach the kids. So thank you for that.
Mike, kind of in addition to your comment about the start of the school year, I heard really, really, really good comments about the staff wellness day on Friday before school started. So I thought that was very creative and just a nice way to start the year. So good job to whoever put that together too.
Yeah, I give a lot of credit. Maria did a lot of the planning for that and so forth, you know. And we were ecstatic how it went too, Christina. And it's even caused us to think about how we could do some during the year as well. So we have a TQ day mid-year too, that we might be able to do an element of wellness there too, so.
I've got a question. I know we're not supposed to interact, but I'll ask a tangential question.
Yeah.
The camera systems that were mentioned at the start of the meeting, is that something that, as a school district, we've asked to be added to the buses? Is that something we have control over, in other words?
We do, to a certain degree. We can always request, like our contract is actually up after the end of this year. And so we can always request additional things in the bidding process. So I don't, John, if you want to help me, I don't know if we per se requested that, was that part of the bid process, John? That they, you'd have to look it up?
It could be something that we would have added to the language, but
Yeah. I want to say we did, but I don't want to tell you the wrong thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we can look into it anyway.
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
Okay, yeah, get back with me on that. and
Yep.
We'll take a look at it.
Yeah.
Any other questions? If not, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor, raise your right hand. Meeting's adjourned.